sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. As the week comes to an end, we get ready to welcome in Shabbat to begin our holy time together to rejuvenate physically, spiritually, emotionally as we spend the next day together with each other and with God. We're going to start our time together with the lighting of Shabbat candles. Please rise as we join together in the bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
It was a Shabbos miracle.
What's that?
The flame wasn't really taking, and then it just...
I guess it's time for Shabbos then.
Yeah.
May be seated. Let's turn to our Siddur for Kabbalat Shabbat, the introductory psalms and songs that we recite on Friday afternoon. We turn to page 11. Let us go and sing to God. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God as we raise our voices in song. Page 11, Lechu Neranena.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, nariya, letzur yishenu, nekadma, fana bitoda, fana bitoda, fana bitoda, nekadma, fana bitoda, bizmirot, narialo, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, nariya, litzur yishenu. Arbaim shana kupidor va'omar hamto elevavim vehem lidu derachai asher nishbati v'api im yevon amenuchati.
Sing to God a new song. Sing to God, all the earth, page 13.
Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai Baruch Hu Shemo, basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai Baruch Hu Shemo, basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, zapru v'goyim kevodo. Bechol ha'amim nifleotav, wo, sapru v'goyim kevodo. Bechol ha'amim nifleotav, shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai Baruch Hu Shemo, basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai Baruch Hu Shemo, basru miyom liyom
We continue on page 20, the final 3 lines of the page with Romemu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu. Vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh, ki kadosh, ki kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu. Ki kadosh, ki kadosh, ki kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu.
On page 23, we welcome the Shabbat Kala, the Shabbat bride, with the words of Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmianu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor haberacha. Mirosh minkedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat techila. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Boi v'shalom aterepala gam b'simcha u'v'tola. Toch emunei am segula boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela.
May be seated. We turn to page 27, the top of the page, a song for the day of Shabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat.
Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, U'lezamer l'shimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker chastecha, ve'emunatcha balilot, alei asor v'alim navel, alei higayon bechinor, ki simchtani Adonai befalecha, b'maaseh yadecha haranim, Magalu Masech Adonai, Meoram Kumar Shvotecha, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot Ladonai, Uzamer Lishimcha Elyon, Ve'emunatcha Baleilot. Tzadik Tamar Yifra Ke'erez Balvanon Yizke, Shetulim Beveit Adonai, V'chatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu, Odinvu B'seivad Shenim V'rananim Yiyu, Lehagi Ki Yashar Adonai, Turi V'lo Havlatabo.
Page 29.
Adonai Malaki Udavesh, Lavesh Adonai Ositazar, Aftigon Tevel Baltimot. Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpereyam, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Erotecha Nemnu Milvitcha Navakodesh, Adonai Leorech Yamim.
As we conclude the opening parts of Kabbalat Shabbat, I'm going to ask everyone to please rise. Turn to the people sitting next to you or behind you or in front of you. Wish them a good Shabbos. Say hello, someone you haven't greeted yet.
Good Shabbos.
And now that you know them, let's share the words of bracha, the words of blessing that we do each and every Shabbat, the ancient words of the priestly blessing, Berkat Kohanim.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha
Ken yehi ratzon. May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka Ken yehi ratzon.
May God's face shine upon you and may God bestow kindness upon you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon.
May God's face be lifted toward you and may God grant you shalom, grant you peace. Ken yehi ratzon. May be seated. As we turn to our prayers for healing, we think of the people in our lives in need of physical and spiritual well-being. And this Shabbat, we call to mind Shimon ben Yaakov, Mordechai ben Naomi, Perel bat Rezel, Malka bat Sarah, Lisa Meira bat Leah, Kathy Berlin, Miriam bat Rivka, Dennis Carroll, Mordechai Chaim ben Leah, Malka Sarah bat Reuven Verut, Hachazan Shimon ben Chana, Sophie Galinsky, Maxine Albaum, Mitchell Radin, Julie Duke, Talia Weinstein, Moshe Hachanan ben Rav Avram Yosef Halevi, Kevin Haffey, David Graff, Bluma Duba, Ital Chaya, Hershel Yoshua ben Malka, David Shmuel ben Chava, Moshe ben Zev, Chanan ben Lazer, Shner Zalman ben Chana Mindel, Malka bat Simcha Eliyahu Basara Devorah, Shoshana bat Esther, Thomas Clark, Tchia bat Rachel, Miriam bat Nechama, Beverly Leibowitz, Yehuda Mason, David Shmuel ben Chava, Devorah bat Kenendel, Terry and Al Bradley, Yaakov Burton, Masha Sima bat Chaya Dina, Esther Batya bat Liba Tzivia, Maxine Stein, Yaakov ben Moshe, Noam ben Rivka Leah, Alana Chaya bat Menachem Yaakov, Moshe ben Seitel, Yafa Fega bat Sisalbina, Rafal ben David, Shana Leah, Leah Rachel, Avery Yitzchak ben Tzvi, Sarah Gittel bat Marsha, Shazia Mathu, Ephraim Yosef ben Yaakov, Leanne Middleton, Dina bat Leib, Aviva bat Tevya, Zalman ben Ephraim, Rory Vitale, Danny Bernstein, Todros bat Chaim ben Chaya Bela. If you'd like to include someone in the prayer for healing, I invite you to rise and to share their names when I come to you. Et kol hacholim, and all those who are ill, we join together the prayer for healing.
We're also, of course, keeping in mind all the captives that have not yet been released, and we are praying for their well-being. Let's join together. Mi sheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
On page 30, I invite those in mourning or marking a yortzeit to rise and join me in the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba, v'yalma divera kirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen, yehi shemei rabba mevorach leolam olameo maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yit'halal, shemei dekudsha, b'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, damiran b'yalma v'yimru, amen, yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen, oseh shalom b'mromav, huyaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. May be seated. Good Shabbos, everyone. So when we read the opening Torah portions of the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, like Parshat Vayikra last week and Parshat Tzav tomorrow morning, I think about my most notable neighbor when I lived in Louisville. I lived on a residential street, but I lived down the street. The corner was Kingsley Butcher. And I know I've spoken about them before, but Kingsley Butcher was one of the premier butcher shops in Louisville, and they specialized in barbecue, something that I had and continue to have almost no experience with. But we lived down the street from Kingsley Butcher, and in their parking lot were 5 gigantic smokers. And early in the morning, the staff would come out and fill up those smokers with various types of meat that would cook throughout the day. And on Shabbat morning, I would get dressed up early and I would walk to shul. And walking to shul would take me right past Kingsley Butcher, and I knew the exact spot at which the smell of that meat smoking was going to hit me. It was overwhelming and it smelled absolutely incredible. Needless to say, Kiddush of tuna fish did not live up to those expectations. I tried to kosher their barbecues. I had a discussion with them about if it was possible to have an event with them, and learned that it is absolutely impossible to kosher a smoker and like that, but it was worth a try. But I think about that at the beginning of Vayikra and Parshat Tzav, because our Torah portion tomorrow is all about ancient sacrifices or ancient barbecues. The way that our ancestors worshiped God before we prayed was to take animals, to slaughter them, to burn them on the altar, and then sometimes to eat of them. And the earliest parts of Parshat Vayikra are some of the hardest sections of the Torah to relate to understand. The description of the blood and the guts and the incense and the altars. It's very challenging, and it's really hard for bar and bat mitzvah kids to write Dvar Torahs about. And sometimes when we look at these passages, when Torah commentators have studied them, they focus on the legal minutiae, the details of the sacrifice, the way that our ancestors offered them, how much blood was put here, how much flour had to be brought, what kind of oil could you use, what kind of oil couldn't you use. And that appeals to a certain type of religiosity. But I think that when we read this section of the Torah, these complicated offerings, we try to imagine, what are the motivations of the people who brought these sacrifices? What did these sacrifices accomplish for them? What did they feel when they saw an animal that they brought being offered to God on the altar? And I want to look at one particular korban, one particular sacrifice that's described in tomorrow morning's Torah portion, because I think the motivation behind it very much still exists for us today. And it's a category of sacrifice called the shlamim. Shlamim comes from the word shalom, or shalem, which means wholeness or completeness. And one type of this sacrifice had another name. It was known as the korban todah. Korban is sacrifice, and todah, what is the word todah? Thank you. One of the most common Hebrew words we know. So, korban todah, the sacrifice of thanks, or often, as it's translated, the sacrifice of thanksgiving. And this sacrifice was brought by an individual who wanted to thank God for something, to express gratitude for something. And the rabbis of the Talmud explain that it was brought by 4 different people. It could be brought by someone who crossed over the ocean, who took a big journey across the sea and came back safely. It could be offered by someone who crossed over the desert and came back safely, because travel in ancient times, the assumption was it was very dangerous, unlike our basic assumption is we're going to come back safely from travel. It was brought by someone who recovered from illness, who wanted to thank God for undergoing a medical procedure or surviving a medical condition. And it was brought by someone who was taken hostage, as often happened to Jews in ancient societies, and was redeemed or was released from captivity. All of these people would celebrate by offering a sacrifice. But there was one rule in this korban, in this sacrifice, that differentiated it from other sacrifices. This sacrifice was eaten by the person who brought it after it was barbecued, together with his or her family and with the priests. But one specific rule sticks out, and that's the rule that this sacrifice had to be consumed in one day. You were not allowed to have any leftovers. Other sacrifices could take a few days to use up, keep them for a little while. This sacrifice had to be eaten quickly. And commentators note that particular detail and ask why it is that this korban todah, this korban expressing gratitude, had to be eaten so quickly. One reason given is that it encourages the person to celebrate together with friends and with family, to show gratitude, to express gratitude in community with the people who are important to them and with the people who make up their larger community and with the priests and the Levites who served in the temple. But I like another explanation given by Rabbi Amnon Bazak, a Rosh Yeshiva in Israel. And he says, the Torah recognizes that human nature is for gratitude to diminish over time. Therefore, the time for eating the sacrifice is limited, to strike while the iron is hot. The korban is eaten while its bringer is fully grateful for the good that God has bestowed upon him or her. And I think that Rabbi Bazak is on to a really insightful point about the way we operate. When we feel gratitude for something, when we want to thank someone, or we want to thank God, the moment it happens is the peak moment of gratitude. At that moment, at that exact moment, is the time to say thank you and to express that to somebody else. As it gets farther away from the moment, that feeling diminishes. The feeling of gratitude is not nearly as strong, and we forget to express that important word, thank you, that is so important in Jewish tradition. I know that when I mean to write a thank you note for someone, the longer I wait, the less likely I am to do it. And so I look at the korban todah, the sacrifice that our ancestors offered. I know that I'm never going to offer a sacrifice to God, but I recognize this need of people to show gratitude, to show thanks, and recognize the importance of doing it right away. And so when we read about the korban todah, we're all reminded when we want to say thank you, don't wait. Do it right away. Shabbat shalom. Let's turn to page 39 For the Baruch Hu, beginning the Ma'ariv, the evening service, please rise.
Ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai ya lai 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 lai, ya la lai ya la lai la lai lai lai, ya lai lai ya lai 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 lai, ya la lai ya lai lai la lai la lai, ya lai. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach, Baruch Adonai hamevorach, leolam vaed. Ya la la ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la 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 la, ya la la.
May be seated. Blessed are you, Lord our God, creator of the universe, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from before the light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv haravim bechokma poteach sheharim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun, you unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv haravim bechokma poteach sheharim. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Haravim. We continue with Ahavat Olam, page 40, with timeless love. You have loved your people. You've taught us. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla ve'vatchal tasim mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meotecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. We continue individually the words in the Siddur. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, David. Adonai Elohechem emet.
Then Moses, Miriam, and the people of Israel joyfully sang this song to you, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, top of page 44.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות הוסף אלה Nora tehilot Joseph ele Machutecha ra'uvanecha Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Ze'ilianu v'yamru Ze'ilianu v'yamru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'nemar kifat Adonai Yaakov u'omer chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai kol Yisrael.
Amen. Allow us, Adonai our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us again to life. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us. Blessed are you who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Page 45, Hashkivenu, the nighttime prayer.
Let's join our voices together. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu malkeinu lechaim, lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, shlomecha. When I lay down at night, when I rest my head, oh God, watch over me. And when the morning comes, we thank Adonai and pray for peace. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu lishalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu lishalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Ushmor teitenu vohenu lechaim uleshalom me'ata v'ad olam ufros alinu sukat shlomecha baruch ata Adonai haporei sukat shalom alenu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. Page 46, please rise.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולם יומיה. יברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן.
We spend the next few moments in silent prayer with the words of the Amidah, beginning on page 47.
When you've completed your Amidah, you may be seated. Elohai nitzor lishonim mera, usvatai meraber mirma, vilim kalalai nafshi tidom, v'nafshi ke'afar lakoti Elohai. Elohai, Elohai nitzor lishoni mera, usvatai meraber mirma, vilim kalalai nafshi tidom, v'nafshi ke'afar lakoti Elohai. Elohai, pitach, pitach libi betorah. Adonai nitzor lishoni mera, usvatai meraber mirma. Vilim kalalai nafshi tidom, venafshi keafar lakoti Elohai, Elohai. Yehiu leratonim refi, vehegyon libi lefanecha, Adonai, Adonai, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri Vegoli.
We continue on page 54, Kaddish Shalem.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
ועמד יברח חידותי ונכמחותי ברי חרבים וכל ברי תור בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך. לעולם ולעולם מעלמיה. יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ותרומה וינשא ויתעזר ויצלח ויצלח שמי לקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בימה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלתנו ובאותנו זוכי ישראל קודם אבוני וישמעי ואמרו אמן. יהי שם הרב אמין שמעי וחיים אלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Amen. Page 55, please rise for Kiddush. Invite any kids who want to join us up on the bima. Come on up. You're sitting very conveniently close tonight, RJ. Savri Maranan Rabbanan Rabotai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'avar ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim ki vanu vacharta viotanu kidashta mikol hamim veshabat kodshecha B'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
Page 56, Aleinu.
Ladon hakol latet gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kegoye haratzot velo samanu kamishpachot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem vegoralinu kechol hamonam vanachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Noteh Shamayim v'Yoser Haaretz, u'Moshe Mikaro b'Shamayim mimal, u'Shchinatu zo, b'Gavei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu ein od, Emet Malkeinu efes ulato, Kakatu b'Torato v'yadata hayom v'hashevota el levavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim imal ועל הארץ מתחרנו. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא,
יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
May be seated. We turn to page 58 for the Mourner's Kaddish. This week we observe the yortzites of Fanny Bernstein, Norton Bernbach, Hilda Cooper, Robert J. Davis, P.B. Fisher, Harold Freed, Armin Gold, Arthur Hagen, Issy Kozilski, Lottie Lafkowitz, Abe Slutsky, and Robert Kipperman. Also want to share the passing of congregant Joel Safran, passed away yesterday here in Charlotte. And Joel was a longtime congregant in Temple Israel, came on Friday nights actually sometimes. He was very fond of this service. And his funeral will be next Wednesday at 11 o'clock, graveside at Hebrew Cemetery. And Joel passed away with a minimal family. So I put this request out there that if anyone is available Wednesday at 11, one of the highest mitzvot that we do is bury someone and make sure that they have a minyan at their funeral and that they're given a proper Jewish burial. So if anyone is available to help make a minyan for Joel's funeral at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, please let me know tonight or email me. Page 58, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divera kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen, yehi shemei rabbah mevorach leolam olameo maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yit'ale v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush berchata v'nechamata damiran bi'alma v'yimru amen yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May be seated. I'm going to call on Leon Galinsky to share some words of greeting, but before he comes up, I want to share something that he doesn't have any announcements yet because I've just been able to finalize it. As some of you know, I had planned a Temple Israel trip to Israel for the summer, and it was going to be a first-timers, tourist-type trip, and it's not the ideal time for that right now at this particular point, but it doesn't mean that it's not a good time to go to Israel and not an important thing to do. Go to Israel right now for a few reasons. One, to better understand what happened on October 7th and the aftermath of that day, and to understand why Israel is in a war right now. We go to Israel to support the Israelis, our friends and family who are there, who are going through this terrible experience. And we go to affirm our connection to Israel even at this difficult time. So I'm not going to be leading a first-timers, touristy type trip, but I will be leading a trip based around learning about what happened on October 7th and volunteering with a number of organizations in Israel that are supporting people on the ground, that are making sure that Israeli society is continuing to run. And that's going to be June 19th through 25th. It's shorter than the original trip was, and I'm going to send information out about it this week. But if you have an interest in going, please reach out to me. June 19th through 25th, another chance to visit Israel at a different time. Leon, now I'm going to turn to you.
Shabbat Shalom to our Temple Israel family. Thank you, Rabbi Wolk and Kiana Lissick, for leading us in prayer and song, and to Sean and Nico for live streaming of our service to those away from synagogue building. Save the date, April 7th, Magen David Adom. Temple Israel collected enough money to purchase an ambulance for Israel. There will be a dedication ceremony and family fun activities. If you're interested in volunteering, please call Temple Israel's office. On April 9th, Still has an offset event at Hot Glass Alley for demonstration and glass blowing. Spaces are limited, so please sign up. Please join Rabbi Wolk and Cantor Lissick on April 23rd at 6 p.m. for a musical, engaging, and fun second night Seder for the entire family. All these programs can be found on our website for registration. Be sure to check out the programs on Temple Israel's upcoming programs page on website, Facebook, and our bulletin, Kol Yisrael. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. You said save the date for next Sunday, but it's very soon already. April 7th, our dedication of a new ambulance from Magen David Adom, and we're getting ready for next week, and we're trying to get a comprehensive list of people who contributed. And it's actually very challenging to do because Magen David Adom was really overwhelmed with contributions right after October 7th, and people contributed in different ways. Some people used the website we set up, some people went other ways. But at this point, we've identified over 200 people who contributed, or 200 families who contributed to the ambulance that we're going to dedicate next week, which is absolutely incredible. An astounding response that we are very proud of and looking forward to celebrating next week. While it's kind of an open house from 10 to 2, the dedication of the ambulance itself will take place around 11:30 outside in front, because you can't get an ambulance in the sanctuary. Cantor? Can you believe Purim was a week ago?
I'm glad you're not going to put an ambulance in the sanctuary. Yeah,
We hope
Purim
not.
was last week.
Purim was last week, which means Passover is coming up in less than a month. And absolutely another great result. We have over 70 people signed up to join us for Passover Seder already. When I started as a rabbi, I didn't like communal Seders so much, but by now I think they're a lot of fun and really exciting to spend Passover with that many people, and encourage people who are looking for a place to go on the second night of Passover to join us for Seder in the room right back there. We're going to conclude Kabbalat Shabbat tonight with Shalom Aleichem. Let's turn back to page 5.
Shalom Aleichem Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Boachem Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Tzedchem Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbat.